those are the
disgustingly.
kind of people that it's morphed into now. It was originally like what you've been watching on Geordie Shore, but no, now it's
Scotty
Ibiza
T.
Shore. Yeah, I'm not getting
Scotty T. And then,
I'm
I'm a big fan of Joey Essex. Sticking with TV, though, something else I wanted to bring up, given the sensitivities of people, did you hear about the Simpsons saying they're not going to choke Bart anymore? Did you hear about that thing a couple
Yes.
weeks ago?
Yes, I did, and
I
I was confused.
I discovered 2 days ago now, as I check my rotary, I was going to say rotary phone, my clock, joke failed. They said they're definitely going to keep choking Bart. And I thought this was interesting because the producer is acting like, nothing's going to change, you guys. Nothing's ever changed. Nothing's getting tamed, he says. He go on, and of course it comes from the episode where Homer says, I don't do that anymore. Times have changed. And people started looking into it, and they noticed that Homer hasn't choked Bart for 3 years. Now, this, it's a cartoon. Is it important in the grand scheme of things? I think so. The Simpsons has been on since 1989, and they've always been not afraid to offend people. Now, not to the tune that South Park is not afraid to offend people, but it's sort of this American culture staple. So they noticed that he hadn't choked Bart for seasons and seasons. And then the producer, James L. Brooke, comes out and he says, don't think for a second we're changing anything. Nothing's getting tamed. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And they even had, I'll open this up. I don't know why it doesn't preview in this browser, but they show Homer Simpson strangling Bart and saying that he's not available for comment right now, which is pretty funny. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. My sound has cut out. So I need to.
You can't hear me anymore?
I'm so sorry.
Louis Brackpool. He spent all his batteries watching Geordie Shore. Another thing they do on that show, ladies and gentlemen, is besides peeing in the streets, they, every single episode they say something's mint, which is like a saying from the 80s in North America. And their number one goal is to just have a mint night and just get buzzing with their friends. All these weird terms. And it's really like if Jersey Shore culture never stopped. They went on for this for like 20 seasons. And I don't know if anybody else in the world other than the people in England and me now know about this. It's a truly disturbing show. The guys, there's one gay guy and all the straight guys, shower with him and they don't see anything wrong with it. They sleep in the same bed as there's nothing wrong with it if you're gay, but when you're a straight guy claiming you're straight, it's really strange. It's a wonderful show. I suggest that anyone watches it. But the problem with The Simpsons is I'd like to talk about if Lewis can hear me. You can hear me, Lewis? Well, then speak. Why can't I hear you now? Oh, Lewis. All right. Well, you worked that out while I talked about this. At least you can hear me. So, The Simpsons producer here is saying, of course we're going to do this. Of course we're going to keep choking Bart. It's a classic gag. We're not going to calm down on this. We're definitely not going to stop choking Bart Simpson. And they're acting as if there is no, rollback with sensitivities that the Simpsons have done. But this is obviously untrue. In 2021, there he is. We hear him now.
Hello. Apologies.
Lewis, in 2020, actually, they said that Hank Azaria, the voice of Apu, everybody loved Apu.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at it at the surface, he's a successful businessman with a bunch of kids. He knows the Beatles, etc. And they said, no, you can't voice an Indian guy anymore. And Hank Azaria is a guy who's been in tons of movies. He was on Friends. He was in like the Godzilla 97 movie, which I'm a fan of. He's been in tons of things. And they say, you can't voice an Indian guy. And frankly, I believe they took him off the show because they said it was insulting, all because of some documentary called The Problem with Apu or something like that. And then In 2021, they forced an even more iconic actor, Harry Shearer, who was in Spinal Tap and a whole bunch of other things. They say you can't voice Dr. Hibbert now because he's black, and they replaced him with a black actor. So, Lewis, what is this desire to make it so that you can only voice somebody of your own race? The Simpsons are claiming, "Oh no, we haven't been so sensitive that we're not going to stop choking Bart," but only Indian actors can voice Indians and black actors can voice black characters. Does this make any sense to you? Where does this lead? Now in a fictional world of cartoons, the skin tone has to match the character you're playing, but the Simpsons are yellow, but I guess they represent white people. What if you have different skin colors? What if you have an alien? What race of person's allowed to voice that? What if they're British? Can I fake British accent?
Of course you can. The thing is, nobody really knew that Apu was voiced by a white guy. I mean, unless you really looked it up, like nobody actually knew, right? I had no idea until it was all a big hullabaloo. So I don't really understand. I'm trying to think in the mind of the progressive. Okay, so a progressive would think, oh, it's a way of mocking. It's a type of mocking of someone of a different race. If you're to play their their voice actor and make a joke of them, and do the whole buzzwords or do the whole say the line, of Apu, all of this. To me, to me, it's just a cartoon. It's no big deal. You always say when you try and rebuttal progressives, they say, "Oh, but why do you care and why do you all that?" I reverse that actually. Yeah, why do you care? Why do you care? It's just a cartoon that we've been watching for 20 years. Like nobody cares. This whole idea of not strangling Bart as well. I think it's around that progressive way of thinking. I know they've decided they're going to start doing it again, but there was a while that it thought, okay, well, times have changed, like you mentioned earlier, that Homer's character says. But a lot of people made spreads about it and spoke about how this was a great thing that we're moving on. I believe progressive outlets started writing about this particular thing. It's just interesting, isn't it? We seem to see this within the entertainment industry now, where it's all about change. It's all about, well, we're living in a new era now, a new politically correct era where everything, you're not allowed to mock people. You're not allowed to go against people that, well, you can go against white people. That's fair game. You can go against Christians. That's absolutely fair game. You can go against straight people. But everyone else, no, no, no. No, you're not allowed to do that. And if you do that, it has to be the matching race or the matching orientation or the matching, I don't know, identity. So I think it's silly. The days where everyone took the piss out of each other, regardless of race, regardless of religion, regardless of identity or sexual orientation, when people were just taking the piss out of each other, I think the world was a nicer place. If I'm totally honest, it was.
Turn it up, Jordan.